Secret levels have become a dying art in video games, and that's due to the increased amount of energy and manpower it takes to create games nowadays. Back in the 80s and 90s, video games on PC and consoles were only made by a few people, but in recent times, the scale of video game projects have increased significantly. For Doom 1, there were only a small group of level designers, and they would create several maps all by themselves. When you compare that to Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal's development, where entire teams are dedicated to just the art of a level, the difference is night and day. That being said, the idea of secret levels in video games is a very retro concept, and in FPS games specifically, you almost never see them now. I mean, I'm still glad that there's small collectibles and secret areas to access in the new Doom games, and that id Software are paying tribute to old shooters in that sense. Today I wanted to take a page out of G-Man's book and look back at some of the most iconic secret levels in FPS games. The only proper place to start with is Wolfenstein 3D, and how E3M10 is basically a massive tribute to Pac-Man. This is the quintessential secret map, as it takes Wolfenstein 3D's mazy level layout and reconstructs it into something new and gimmicky. If this was the only secret level in Wolfenstein 3D, I wouldn't exactly be disappointed, and they even used this Pac-Man idea again in E6M10. The other secret levels in Wolfenstein 3D were cool, but compared to the Pac-Man maze, they're fairly unremarkable. I do like that if you access Episode 1 secret level, you will notice that it borrows the purple texture work from Episode 2, almost like it's teasing what's to come later on in the game. Other than that, the Wolfenstein 3D secret levels are giant mazes for the most part, and they aren't too fun to discover, but that's just me. The gimmicky Pac-Man maze almost acted like the blueprint for some of Doom's secret levels to follow. E3M9 Warrens continues on the gimmicky level design approach, as it tricks new players into thinking that they just went back to the start of the episode. Of course, you don't actually go back to the beginning, and you realize this once you encounter the Cyber Demon, but what if you did? I know id Software aren't that sadistic, but I think it would be kinda funny if Doom pulled off a Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels and featured false secret exits, where it would send you backwards. When you access the secret exit, you are more than halfway through the episode, so that would be a massive kick in the nuts if Warrens was replaced with a complete episode reset. Anyway, I think E3M9 is one of the best levels in Doom 1. Even though a lot of it is just Hellkeep, I think the gimmick is fantastic. The rest of the secret levels in the game aren't exactly gimmicky, but Fortress of Mystery at least is experimental. I know that people don't hold E2M9 in high regard, and to be fair, it hasn't aged up that great at all, but it was the first map to incorporate demon infighting as a primary mechanic. Even if we don't count that aspect of the level, it still gives you all the weapons, with the exception of the BFG, and gears you up for the final set of levels in Episode 2. With that said, if you're skilled enough or knowledgeable enough to find the secret level to begin with, you probably know how to access almost every other secret in Episode 2 to stock up on ammo, or you'll at least be able to conserve your fucking ammo to deal with the enemies. The other two secret levels in Doom consist of Military Base and Fear, if you're taking Episode 4 into account, which, let's face it, Thy Flesh Consumed has been standard since 1995. Regardless, E1M9 Military Base is a fantastic level, even though some people might not like it due to its rather symmetrical layouts. I always kinda liked the outside area in the center with the monsters trapped in the cage, and this map has good gameplay for sure, but I'm not sure why it's a secret level. If Military Base came right after Toxin Refinery or whatever, I don't think many people would be perplexed, and in fact, I'm even more confused on why it's a secret level than anything. The same goes with E4M9, Fear, although I'm not really keen on the level itself. Designed by Tim Willits, E4M9 doesn't really have much of a challenge factor compared to the other levels in episode 4, and it isn't compelling enough in general to warrant being a secret map, in my opinion. I've talked about the secret levels in Doom 2 at length in previous videos, so in an attempt to not go over the same points but in a shittier way, I'm just going to play you a clip. So we've reached the secret levels of Doom 2. Wolfenstein and Gross. Instead of acting as rather standard secret levels like Fear, Military Base, and Fortress of Mystery, Doom 2's secret maps are more novel, as they are replicating two stages from Wolfenstein 3D. Map 31, Wolfenstein, is a remake of the first level in Wolfenstein 3D, while Map 32, Gross, is paying homage to Wolfenstein's first episode boss fights. Instead of Hans Gross, it just chucked in a cyber demon and called it a day. I love the idea of these secret levels, since they take something old and give it a different spin, similar to what Warren's did in the original Doom. I like that id connected not only Wolfenstein and Doom together, but they also threw in Commander Keen for good measure. However, Map 31 is just Wolfenstein 3D Map 1, which is fine and it's a cool homage, but if you've already played Wolfenstein, then you aren't missing out on much. At least there's this demonic secret spot with stuff inside. In Map 32, which they dubbed the super secret level, it's just a cyber demon fight, but with Nazi symbols on the wall. While I do appreciate that id is celebrating their old properties in these maps, which is a tradition that carries on in their current games, I can't rate these too highly. As I've said, Commander Keen can be located at the end of Map 32, which him being included is great, but also annoying. Why couldn't these two secret maps have even more references to id Software history? Maps 31 and 32 could have been this massive celebration of Wolfenstein, Commander Keen, Catacombs 3D, even fucking Dangerous Dave. Maybe they couldn't because of their soft disk publishing agreements, but still, I feel like even if you put in more Commander Keen enemies and references, that would make these maps way more memorable. If Dangerous Dave, Catacombs, and other obscure id titles couldn't have made it in, they should have put in the fucking Dopefish or something. Turn maps 31 and 32 into a hodgepodge of Commander Keen and Wolfenstein 3D. Maybe I'm overthinking these two secret levels, and to be honest they are still cool to see included, but more could have been done. Before we move on from Doom, I did want to mention that the secret levels found in Final Doom are a mix between normal levels and more experimental levels. Pharaoh and Caribbean don't necessarily fit into TNT Evolution's level roster, at least aesthetically, but they aren't really gimmicky in the same way that Cyberden or Go To It are from Plutonia. Now, Quake is an FPS game that has fairly run-of-the-mill secret levels, with the exception of the zero-gravity map called Ziggurat Vertigo. The level can be beaten rather quickly, but the short length does not take away from how awesome the zero-G gimmick is. The way that gravity affects your movements and jumps is interesting, and for a shooter released in 1996 where jumping and mouse look weren't commonplace, Quake E1M8 must have been a great experience at the time. Even though Half-Life is an extremely linear game with no real secret levels to speak of, there are a couple of little things to note. When you meet up with the G-Man at the end of the game, if you decline his request to be employed by him and you don't step into the portal, an alternate ending will play, where Gordon gets teleported away to a group of alien grunts. The final text log reads, Subject, Freeman, Status, Observation terminated, Postmortem, Subject declined offer of employments. I personally love this kind of stuff, the little touches that Valve didn't have to add, but they did, and they make Half-Life that much better. Now, I'm not a big Half-Life fan at all, and I don't really like the first game, but this alternate ending is cool. When you watch Gordon Freeman take the portal to Zen from Adrian Shepard's perspective, you can actually follow Gordon in. However, this isn't the best idea, since you do immediately plummet to your death. There is a postmortem text log that pops up shortly after that says, "Subject attempted to create a temporal paradox." Again, this is brilliant. Going back to the shooters from 1996, Duke Nukem 3D has a few interesting set of secret levels as well. The most infamous secret level that Duke 3D has to offer is Spin Cycle, as that is just a complete mess of a map. I don't find it nauseating or anything like that, but I just think it's annoying as fuck to navigate. It's not really fun to play, and I'm glad that it was only a secret level. I love Duke Nukem to death, and to be fair, I'd imagine that they were only just trying to show off what they could do with the build engine, but regardless, Spin Cycle is a spinning fucking disaster. As for Lunatic Fringe, I've softened up on this level a ton since I last played it. Lunatic Fringe has a simple gimmick, where the level simulates being on a revolving staircase, of course with Duke going through hidden teleporters acting as if you were going up and down. Now to be honest, I don't really see myself going out of my way to access this level on casual playthroughs, but I still like the general idea and I think it executes it well enough. The other secret levels in Duke 3D essentially act like normal levels, and they are some of the best maps that the game offers up. Freeway and Launch Facility are definitely some of the highlights of Duke Nukem 3D. I could keep going on and on about secret levels in retro FPS games, but let's cap this video off with one from a modern shooter instead. So Black Ops is one of my favourite installments in the Call of Duty series, and it's also one of the final games in the golden age of COD for me. Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 were my Call of Duty games, and even though I did like Advanced Warfare that came later down the road, I played the living shit out of the ones I listed before when I was younger. With that in mind, Black Ops 1 featured a bonus zombie map called Dead Ops Arcade, and I thought it was awesome. Now apparently this counts as a secret level since you have to type DOA into the CIA computer, but I don't remember doing this step at all, so whatever. The point is, Dead Ops Arcade was a fantastic diversion from the core Zombies maps as it was played from a bird's eye perspective instead of a first person view, which kinda reminds me of the overhead levels from Super Contra on NES. What are some of your favourite secret levels from FPS games, or even from video games outside of the FPS genre? Let me know in the comment section below, and I thank you for watching.